are chatting about, can you cure perfectionism? So, for those who don't know me, I'm Kim and I help female entrepreneurs to overcome anxiety and perfectionism in 21 days. So, can you cure perfectionism? The short answer is yes, and I know this because I have worked through this on my own. I used to be so hypercritical of everything that I put out, nothing was ever good enough. I just held myself to this incredibly high standard, and it was like this thing that I thought was a good thing. I thought that it was beneficial. I thought that it was helping me in some sort of a way. But after a little while, I realized that perfectionism was actually holding me back. It was holding me back from opportunities. It was slowing me down. It was making me feel really bad about myself. And the thing is you can't shame yourself into being better. It just doesn't work. You can't make yourself feel guilty and bad enough about yourself for you to want to do a good job. And there's a difference between wanting to do a good job and being perfectionistic and not allowing things to be done unless they're done a certain way. And the reason that this isn't beneficial is because it's really being controlled through fear. Liz Gilbert has a quote that basically says perfectionism is just really fear dressed up in high heels. And I love this because it sneaks in, making you think that you're being virtuous, you're doing a good job, but it's actually slowing you down from making the progress that you want to make, or finishing things, or even putting anything out at all, because you'll maybe be working on it and then all of a sudden you'll be like, no, it's not good enough. I'm going to put it away. I'm going to scrap it, completely start over. And then you're slowing yourself down. So when it comes to building your business, you are wasting valuable time, like redoing things over and over and over again, when it's like, you know what, it was probably good enough the first time and nobody else is going to notice the mistakes. We are the hardest on ourselves. Nobody is harder on us than we are. So the thing is when you are putting that stuff out, it's like you're probably being so much harder on yourself than anyone else is that's seeing it. And also, the more that you're able to do something, the better you get at it. But if you keep doing it and stopping halfway through because it's not the way you want it to, and then scrapping it and starting over, you're not going to get anything created and you're not going to move forwards. And then you're just going to be critical instead of looking at it and deciding how you could have done better, because you make it about how good you are as a person instead of it just being about the work. So another thing that really comes up with people is they're like, oh, well, if I'm perfect, I can't be criticized. And this is like a trauma response that a lot of us have from growing up in an environment where it wasn't okay for us to be wrong. It wasn't safe for us to be wrong. If we were wrong, something really bad might happen. So we didn't want to do anything that was less than perfect so that we could avoid being criticized or like getting attention in the wrong way. And this is another thing where you're being motivated from your fear of trying to be so perfect that no one can criticize you, no one can reject you. And the thing is you're human. Nobody is going to avoid rejection in or criticism in the whole time that they're human and they're here on this planet. It's just not going to happen. So basically, if you tell yourself that you're just working on getting it perfect, and then you don't actually need to put it out until it is perfect, or you keep throwing it out before you put it out because it's not perfect, then you're actually kind of hiding, and you're stopping yourself from risking rejection, because if you don't actually put it out there, well, nobody can criticize you for something that you didn't do. But then you're also not taking steps towards accomplishing the goals that you want to accomplish. So long story short, you can overcome perfectionism, and as a recovering perfectionist, I get it. I know that you can. I would be so critical about myself. The things I would find in journals that I read years later, I was like, oh my goodness, you were horrible to yourself. And like I was saying before, you can never shame or guilt someone into doing a better job. So making yourself feel bad for the way that you are is never going to make you do better results. It's just not. And it's also, you have to know that it's impossible to avoid criticism. It's just not possible. The more things you do and the more visible you get and the more you build your business, the more you're going to be criticized. So you have to build that inner sense of safety within yourself and do the inner work to know that like you are safe even if you aren't perfect. It's okay to mess up. And honestly, we don't really like perfect people anyways. When people are too perfect, we don't vibe with it because it seems fake and unnatural. We like vulnerability. We like when people are real. Obviously in the right context and like the right amount, but like to sum it up, like we don't like when people are perfect. It freaks us out. It feels weird. It's not natural. And so doing the work on yourself so that you know that you are good enough, you are safe, it's safe for you to not get it right, it's okay to make mistakes. When you do that work on yourself, you're able to just put work out that is like it's just going to get better each time. And while it might not be perfect, that's okay. Perfection is not a standard that's actually achievable, because what is perfect anyways? We can't control what other people think about us, and trying to control other people's perception of us is a waste of time. We need to focus on what we can control, and the thing that we can control is how we feel about ourselves, the amount of effort that we put in, the work that we put out, how we show up in the world. So the first thing that needs to happen is deciding that you are good enough, and it's safe to be wrong. It's okay to not get it right. It's okay to put out work that isn't quote unquote perfect, because perfect is like an unrealistic standard that doesn't exist. So the first thing that you can start to do to start doing this is, for every critical thought that you have for yourself, replace it with something positive. Start doing that positive reinforcement with yourself right now. People treat you the way that you treat yourself. So if you're like perceiving that people are all being super critical of you, it's probably because this is what you're doing to yourself. And when you change that self-talk and change it into like empowering yourself, being proud of yourself for the effort that you put in and for the person that you are, you start to change the way that other people are going to treat you as well. And then you also need to decide that the work that you came to do and the work that you're putting out in the world is more important than you staying comfortable in your comfort zone. Like the message that you have to share and how you reach your clients and how they help them, it has to be more important than you staying safe and staying comfortable. And when I say safe, it's like, well, in your comfort zone. Like, of course, on the grander scheme of things, like you're safe, like you have a house, you have like security, all those kinds of things. But it's important to get out of your comfort zone, because if you want something you've never had, you're gonna have to do things that you've never done. That's gonna require you being uncomfortable, and your mind is gonna freak out about that. And that's just how we're hardwired, because our mind knows when we're doing something new or different, and it freaks out because it's like, okay, you're doing this thing, it's new and different. What if it's not safe? What if you die? But the reality is most of the time you're not gonna die from trying to like put out a social media post or like starting a YouTube channel. Like all of these things are not going to threaten your ability to live and survive. So long story short, can you cure perfectionism? Absolutely. You just have to do the inner work, and I can help you with that. So if you want to chat more about how you can overcome your anxiety and perfectionism in 21 days and just be able to take that massive action in your business without that critical voice in your head always holding you back, I would love to help you with that. You can reach out to me and we can book in a free call to chat about how I can help you. So I hope you have an incredible day, and I will talk to you